Mystery of the senses. A Nova miniseries with Diane Ackerman. Tonight, The Sense of Taste.
In Brittany, the Mont Saint-Michel Bay is known for its rugged coastal beauty, its seafarers, and for one great cook. When Chef Olivier Rollinger was a small boy, he came to this beach to play. Now he comes here to work. Every day he hunts through this living larder for the wild herbs he will use to make magic at night. Rollinger is one of Europe's top chefs, a star in the highly competitive world of fine French cuisine. All life forms must eat to survive. But at his restaurant, the Maison de Bricourt near Saint-Malo, Rollinger isn't concerned about the laws of nature. His food is an art form, and he hopes his creations will surprise and delight. For the first time, Rollinger has allowed cameras in his kitchen. Tonight, his most cherished secrets will be revealed. Meals like these satisfy more than hunger. They offer a hint of paradise for our sense of taste. And that leads to an important question. If we only need food as fuel, then why bother inventing such elaborate cuisine? Part of the answer may be exquisitely physical. Our biological need to create art out of everything that touches our lives. We adore our senses. They're our house guests, our explorers, at times even our pets. And of course, we love to give them treats. This is my idea of a delicious meal, but certainly good food doesn't have to be fancy. Fast food can be mighty appealing as well. Linda Bartoshuk studies the biology of taste.
Hi, can I get a Snapple, raspberry flavored? Yeah.
You want anything else?
No, that's it. I'm sorry about the 20. This is great, thanks.
Fast food is her special temptation and delight.
Hi, chicken kebab? Everything on it.
Onion, lettuce, everything.
Everything, yep.
These food carts offer her some of the best and cheapest places to get lunch in New York City.
Yeah.
The hot sauce, ma'am?
Yes.
Bartoshuk also finds here a clue to our past, a glimpse of the biological forces that have shaped our sense of taste.
The fact is, there are very few things in life that you can repeat as often and with much variation and get as much pleasure out of as taste and eating.
I love junk food.
I like eating street food, I like eating at food stands, and you'll notice that I'm not the only one lined up. There are a lot of people out there, and a lot of people are eating it, and the reason food is given to us in this form is it's salty, it's sweet, it's got a lot of fat in it. This is very basic biology. Newborn baby is born loving sweet, hating bitter, and in a few days when its salt receptors are mature, it also loves salt. And that basic biology is why all of us are out there lined up eating salty French fries. My own favorite, top of the list, is a cheesesteak.
So fast food tempts us with its salty taste, its fat and calories. Irresistible things that satisfy ancient longings and needs.
John, I'm going to put methylene blue on your tongue now, on one side, and hold it.
But how do we actually detect the sensations of taste?
Fungiform papillae are showing up just...
Tastes are detected by the taste buds, chemical receptors lying on the tongue in mounds called fungiform papillae.
John, I'm going to look at your tongue through the magnifying glass, and I see the fungiform papilla very clearly. Pink against the blue background.
Taste buds are highly precise, but they can only recognize a few stimuli. Bartoshuk sees that simplicity as the key to their success.
They're so close to one another, I can't even see space between. They're densely distributed all the way up to your lip, almost an inch back from the tip of your tongue, down at the tip. They're so close together, there's almost no space between them. They look to me like they're ringed, like we expect on a super taster tongue. Beautiful. Fundamentally, we have 4 channels of information in taste. Taste is the real nutritional sense. We taste salty, sweet, sour, and bitter. Each one of these has an important role in keeping us alive. Taste is the sense that keeps us going, keeps us surviving. Very primitive function. Sweet, mother's milk is sweet. It makes certain that a baby starts nursing after it's born. Salty, very important macro mineral, essential for us for muscle function, brain function. You get wounded, you have to take in salt and water fast to survive. Hardwired, biologically significant mechanism. Bitter, poison detector. There are a lot of poisons in the world. Most of them we know are bitter. Sour, we're not so sure about, but maybe it's there to help us detect unripe fruit.
Tastes may begin on the tongue, but they end up in the brain.
Ready to go? It's calibrated, ready to run.
It's even possible to see the brain as it processes taste. John has volunteered to be strapped into an MRI machine. The tubes contain salty and sweet solutions.
That's fine. Great. Okay, we're going to start at P15.
The team, led by neurobiologist Joy Hirsch, is the first to observe how the human brain responds to taste sensation.
This is a very important new technology because it allows us to extend our traditional view of the brain, that is, a look at the structure of the brain, to now look at brain organization. So we can see not just what a brain looks like, but what a brain does. This was such a new area. It was all striking. First, it was the first time that we had ever seen the human brain responding to taste stimuli. We really didn't know what to expect at that point. We thought we might see all taste qualities occurring in the same place, or we thought that they might be separated.
This is John's brain as the MRI sees it. The team first looks at John's brain sliced into images about 1/4 of an inch thick.
We've taken about 1/3 of the brain in the center regions in order to cover all of the possible areas that we think of could be involved.
Do you want to bring up the function?
Spreading those slices out, The computer maps the locations where brain activity occurred when John sipped his taste samples. Red marks a salt response. 3 layers away, the region that recognizes sweet shows up as yellow. For Hirsch and her team, this is the first glimpse ever of the entire taste system in action. What they traced is a direct physical link between the tongue and the brain. The 2 tastes tested thus far, sweet and salt, trigger nerve impulses that move up a single pathway. These different taste stimuli enter the brain at the same point. But each taste then goes its separate way. These connections are so direct, taste signals move fast with little chance of error.
This work, although it's very preliminary, is beginning to show us that the brain has distinct pathways that are devoted to taste information. The taste system, like any sensory system, has as its goal to get it right. I mean, a sensory system allows us to perceive and understand the world around us, and so certainly this organization is designed for us to get the taste distinct and correct. And it looks like we're beginning to see the brain actually doing that.
So our sense of taste recognizes just 4 elements: sweet and sour, salt and bitter. But ultimately, they can inspire all the delights of an enchanting dinner party.
To good friends and good food. Cheers. Cheers. To good friends.
Ah, I heard music.
Yeah. I heard that the reason that one clinks glasses together when we make toast is that that's the only sense that's missing from the meal. And from the wine, you can see how beautiful the color is and how it glistens, and you can taste the delicious flavor of it, and you can smell it, but sound is missing. So we clink our glasses.
Taste is the social sense. The word companion even means people who eat bread together. Every holiday or holy day centers around a meal. In Mexico, people are preparing for All Saints' Day, November 2nd, the Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead is a solemn festival, but one filled with joy as well. Paths of yellow marigolds lead the spirits of the dead to their altars and their meals. Like Thanksgiving or the Jewish festival of Sukkot, the Day of the Dead is an important harvest festival. This village is home to the Cimbron family. Amelia Cimbron is a superb cook, and for the Day of the Dead, she will cook one of the most important meals of the year. She and her family begin to prepare days ahead. The local cuisine is intricate, its secrets passed down from generation to generation. Only the best will do, as Amelia prepares this special feast to please both the living and the dead.
The way it works is that the dead have 30 days freedom. They come to visit us, and the people here will never abandon them. We keep this tradition of worship because it has been left to us by our grandparents. We never forget the holy offering of food each year.
As part of that offering, Juan Cimbron will slaughter one of his precious pigs. The simple fact is that we must kill other life forms to eat. And many of our rituals help distract us from that awkward moral truth. The smell of cooking meat makes us hungry. Our bodies crave the calories, although we crave the taste. And that's what our sense of taste evolved to do, help us find the food we need to survive.
John, what we're going to do now is I'm going to paint solutions on different parts of your tongue. I want you to tell me how they taste and how strong they taste. And the scale you're to use is 1 is very weak, 5 is medium, and 9 is very strong. Okay? You're going to hold your tongue out like this.
But one of the great mysteries of taste is how personal it can be. Linda Bartoshuk is studying individual differences in taste and their role in our survival.
I'm going to ask you to use this piece of gauze to pull your tongue out, pull it over to the side, and use that finger to open your mouth.
She already knows that John has a much higher than average number of taste buds on his tongue.
And what did that taste like?
It was sweet and 5.
Okay.
Also.
Good.
What she wants to find out
Okay, now I'm using
is
a
what
new
those
solution.
extra taste
Again, we're
buds
gonna
do
the
for
same thing as
John.
before. So hold your tongue out.
It was bitter and about a 4.
Okay. Now I'm going to give you a completely new solution, and this is a test for genetic status. I want you to take a sip of this, swish it around in your mouth, and judge it on the same scale. So if it's twice as strong as the quinine just tasted, you call that a 4, give it an 8. If it's half as strong, give it a 2.
That was about if the quinine was 4, that was about at least 16
Okay.
or more. 16.
Excellent. Well, this confirms what we saw when we looked at your tongue. You had a lot of fungiform papilla. You're tasting this solution as intensely bitter. All of this is very consistent with your being a super taster.
Bartoshuk's survey of hundreds of tongues identified 3 types of people: non-tasters with few taste buds, average tasters, and super tasters like John, whose tongues are covered in taste receptors.
Evolution, I think, has a motive for both super tasters and non-tasters, and it may be why we still have both kinds. Super tasters have the advantage of being better poison detectors, possibly better off at the beginning of life by being sensitive to sweet. On the other hand, a non-taster has a huge food world to sample from. In a world where most food is safe, a non-taster would have a tremendous advantage because a non-taster can eat just about anything, and I think I'm a very good example of that. On the other hand, in a world that has threats, a super taster might be a very, very much better survivor. The super taster would detect certain poisons and avoid them that a non-taster might take in.
There are poisons everywhere in nature, and even now, in the most gracious of settings, danger can still lurk within a meal.
Thank you. In a moment, I'm going to gamble. This may look benign, more or less. It's sashimi, Japanese raw fish. But there is a potential death trap here. This is the rarest sashimi in the world, fugu, Japanese pufferfish. I've heard that it tastes sweet and mild and a little bit like pompano, but I haven't dared to try it yet. The reason? Fugu can kill.
Among pufferfish species, fugu are poison factories. Their livers, guts, and skin are flooded with poisonous nerve toxins.
The very best fugu chefs leave just a hint of the poison in the flesh. Enough so that the diner will feel his lips tingle and know that he had a brush with his mortality, but not actually die. No one's perfect, though. And every year, a few fugu diners do actually die at the table. It really is a form of thrill-seeking with food.
If there's just enough poison left in, well, the diner has all the exhilaration of survival. If there's too much, he gets measured for his coffin. Wonder if I should try some? Nah. Life is too short as it is.
Safer, perhaps, but no less exciting, is a meal at Maison de Bricourt. The pre-dinner routine moves like clockwork. Chef Rollinger and his team expect to serve 70 people tonight. Rollinger is the grand panjandrum of the kitchen, the absolute ruler. During meal service, only he speaks. And in this kingdom, he is the final arbiter of taste.
When you taste, don't taste only with the point of the tongue, but with all the spoon, because you taste only the acidity here. If there are not enough sugar or not. Taste, you have to taste with all your mouth. We never taste with the finger, because when you taste with the finger, we taste only with the point of your tongue. And when you eat something, you eat with a spoon, like your soup.
Rollinger's meals capture the flavor of the tiny corner of Brittany in which he grew up. Lamb is a local specialty, and here it has a unique flavor that comes from the salt meadows that grow in the shadow of Mont Saint-Michel. Mont Saint-Michel Bay is extremely salty. No major rivers drain into it, and the ocean pours in some of the highest tides in the world. Perfect conditions for producing the delicate, briny oysters for which Brittany is famous. These strong, basic tastes enliven Rollinger's dishes, and of course his ingredients are the freshest. But to be a great chef, Rollinger must do more, as food critic Nick Lander explains.
French cuisine has reached a kind of a crisis. The old traditions, the old classic cuisine of French cooking isn't exciting people in the way it used to do. And it's also meeting competition from other chefs around the world. And suddenly, France is under siege.
Donc 3 couverts, les 3 menus prévus, donc en deuxième amuse, les 3 petites terrines.
Rollinger is breaking that siege by ignoring the rigid rules of French cooking to create his own radical style, one drawn from the history of his boyhood home. His restaurant used to be the house of the Bricourt family, spice merchants with the French East India Company, founded here in Saint-Malo. 300 years ago, this was their drawing room. The Bricourt and the other seafarers from Saint-Malo set out all over Asia, searching for strong, exotic spices, startlingly new to most European cooking: turmeric, white pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, and many others. Rollinger's great breakthrough is his use of these same exotic spices first brought to Brittany centuries ago. His cuisine is rich with their complex Eastern flavors. But just how sophisticated can our palates be? If we can only detect 4 tastes, where does our ability to savor such elaborate combinations come from? Well, not just from our sense of taste, as Emily Coxis is learning to her sorrow.
I was in an automobile accident about a year ago, and I hit the back of my head, and I lost my sense of smell.
She has come to Linda Bartoshak's lab to find out how bad the damage is.
When did you first notice it was gone?
About 3 days after the accident was one of the first times I had actually gotten up to do anything, and I went downstairs and my dad had ordered pizza, and everyone was talking about how good the pizza smelled, and I couldn't smell it. And so I started to smell other things because it seemed weird that I couldn't smell a pizza and I couldn't smell anything else.
Can you tell me what effect that's had on liking food?
A lot of my favorite foods before this happened, I still eat them and like them, but nothing tastes the same. I don't get the same enjoyment out of eating a lot of the stuff now that I used to like a lot. Like SpaghettiOs used to be my favorite food, and now it doesn't taste very good. It's kind of plain.
Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to actually test you for the contribution of olfaction to a flavor experience, something that you're actually putting in your mouth. Emily, I'm going to give you a lollipop, and I want you to shut your eyes and go ahead and see what you can get out of it. I want to know all the sensations you experience.
She can identify the basic tastes, but not the flavor grape.
It tastes sweet, just a little sour.
Sweet and a little sour. Okay, can I give you another one? Try this one.
Nor the flavor orange.
Just sweet.
Okay. Here's another one.
Not even bubble gum. Hers is a permanent loss.
Just sweet.
My patient Emily is a wonderful example of what happens to your experience of food if you lose your sense of smell. Now, you think you lose your sense of smell, you only lose your ability to sniff things from the outside world. But when we look at a patient like Emily, we suddenly begin to understand that the nose has two jobs. It both samples air from the outside world and identifies objects out there, but it also samples air from the mouth and identifies objects in the mouth. It's that combination of air coming from the mouth and bringing odorants up into the nose and true taste that makes what we call flavor.
Unlike most other animals, which live on a few basic foods, rats are omnivores. So are we. And all omnivores need a well-honed palate to decide which foods may safely enter the body.
Omnivore is a species that can eat just about anything. If you look at a simple species like a koala bear, all it has to do is get enough eucalyptus leaves to survive. But a human may eat a meal and the next meal may be the last one. It could be fatal if you eat something that's really going to kill you. On the other hand, you might die a slow death of not eating an optimal diet. So we have to pick a diet that's both optimal, nutritious. We also have to pick one that's safe. This means we have to make a lot of choices. And nature has given us the olfactory sense to help us make these choices.
Smell, the olfactory sense, also creates lifelong memories. These rats have never seen cheese before. If it makes them sick, they will never forget its odor. If they like it, cheese swiftly becomes a rat delicacy. It's the same with us. Gail Seville is a flavor analyst with a rare gift. She can identify the individual flavors in anything she eats.
Wheat complex. Wheat complex.
Cooked white wheat, raw white wheat, toasted white wheat, yeasty. Tomato complex.
Cooked tomato.
I want everyone to take a piece of pepperoni. Just a slice off the top. I want you to hold your nose, put the pepperoni in your mouth and taste.
Seville studies how people learn to love or hate different flavors.
Think about what you can notice while you're holding your nose.
You can taste the pepperoni more than instead of all the spice, because if you have salsa, you can really taste the spice instead. And the pepperoni, it tastes better and plainer, and it tastes better, a lot better.
You can't taste very much? Why don't you let go now? Now what do you notice? Ow. Ow?
It's spicy.
Spicy?
It's like eating 10 pepperonis at one time.
How come?
Because it's just so hot.
When you have a cold and you say you can't taste, in fact, you can taste just fine. What you can't do is smell. And you cannot pass air. And if you look at chefs, or if you look at people tasting, what they do is they pump the air from the mouth up through the nasal passage so that they can get the biggest hit or punch. So everybody take a piece, have a good taste,
Our ancestors relied on taste and smell to find nourishing foods and to avoid poisons. But now we often use our senses just for fun, to save us from the perils of boredom.
But it's like all creamy and gross. It's creamy and disgusting.
Creamy and disgusting. What do you think?
I don't like broccoli, so.
Oh, you don't like broccoli? So that's a loser all around, right? How about you? What do you think?
It's good.
What in particular did you like?
Like the way the cheese like blended with it, like sort of like drowned out the broccoli, so like you can only taste a little bit of it. Just tasted better than I expected.
Better than you expected. Are you avoiding that broccoli?
Yeah, trying the best I can.
We eat for pleasure, but the pleasure we get from taste and smell is different. The pleasure from taste is hardwired, but the pleasure from olfaction is acquired, one bit at a time. When you start as a baby, you develop pleasure by pairing good experiences with particular odors. As you get older, you add more and more to that. You add social rewards, the things that your parents eat or Mikey down the street eats become very, very palatable. As we go through life, we build up these bits of pleasure and displeasure, and they produce our food preferences.
And preference leads to delight. Delight to passion. What food do you crave? Ask the question with enough smoldery emphasis on that last word, crave, and the answer is bound to be chocolate. When chocolate arrived in Europe, well, it hit like a drug cult. People started demanding it right in the middle of church services. And Louis XIV's queen used to nip out back for a little chocolate on the sly when she thought nobody was looking. She was that addicted to it. Of course, today, people who are still devoted to that sweet cult don't have to do anything on the sly. Chocolate zombies such as myself haunt the streets of every city, waiting all day for that small plunge of chocolate. And if they're very lucky, they get to be marching around a city like this one in pursuit of chocolate. I'm here in Bruges, Belgium. Why am I in Bruges? Because this is chocolate heaven. Chocolate has always been a food with special, even magical powers. The Aztecs believed that chocolate was a gift from heaven, from Quetzalcoatl, their god of wisdom and knowledge. More recently, the great food writer MFK Fisher confided that her doctor prescribed chocolate as a cure for devastating lovesickness. This is the stuff of addiction. Good evening. Hello. I don't know where to start. Maybe with those swans. What's inside of the swans?
Praline.
Pralines. Good, I'll take 4 of those swans, please.
The dark chocolates?
Yes, the dark chocolate swans. Now those are pralines.
Yes.
And what are the quilted ones?
Caramel.
Caramel. 5 of the caramel. Could I
just maybe sample one of those while you're putting them on the tray? Thank you. 10 of the caramel. Oh, that's the best caramel I've ever had. And what's inside of the hearts?
Marzipan.
Ah, wonderful. 6 of the marzipan. No, 8 of the marzipan. 9 of the marzipan. Did I say 4 caramel? Yes. 14 caramel.
If chocolate is my passion, for others, it's chili, flirting with the perfect burn. Like chocolate, chili is a New World plant, one which so delighted Columbus that he wrote it was a better spice than our pepper. To Columbus, a new spice was a valuable find. For then as today, a novel flavor, especially one as startling as chili, could be literally worth its weight in gold. Chilies were first used in places like this, the city of El Tajín in Veracruz, just over the hill from the Cimbrones farm. About 10,000 years ago, our ancestors began to harvest fields of wild grasses, and agriculture was born. Wealth and power grew from those ancient fields of grain. Today, these modern cornfields still provide a safe, stable diet. Amelia Cimbrón is making tortillas, the flat corn cake served with every Mexican meal. Corn for tortillas is soaked in a solution of lye, a crucial step because it releases the vital nutrient niacin, a vitamin essential for survival. This method predates the European conquest. When Cortés conquered Mexico, he brought corn back to Europe, but not the techniques of tortilla making. This was women's work, beneath the notice of a conquistador. But without the recipe, European peasants lacked the niacin they needed. Many came down with pellagra, a potentially fatal disease. So cooking techniques can be vital to the creation of healthy meals. But we cook for another reason, too. As omnivores, we crave variety. Through cooking, we subdue the tedium of a diet made from a few staple crops. Amelia Cimbrón uses 4 different chili mixtures in her version of a Mexican pork mole. Each is chosen to add a precise note of flavor and spicy heat. All cuisines do this, combine a few foods, herbs, and spices to create a kaleidoscope of exciting textures and tastes.
It is good. It has flavor. I try to combine different tastes to create a good flavor. I learned how to do this from my grandmother and my mother. I've known how to do this since I was a small child, learning how to cook, how to make mole with chile.
quest for adventure in food can reach an extreme. Burning chili seeds may surprise even Mexican cooks. But surprise is the point. All this will invigorate a special pork mole from the Oaxaca region of Mexico. The ingredients are essentially the same as Amelia Cimbrone's, but the result will taste wildly different. Burning avocado leaves adds a finishing touch. And if you think that's a bit much, well, each to his own taste. What's mouth-watering to one culture may be truly loathsome to another. The French adore snails. The English hang grouse up on hooks until it rots. Other cultures smack their lips over fried locusts, sea snails, monkey brains, and my own personal favorite, oxhoof and cartilage in peanut sauce. As I recall, it was the combination of mucus and bone that troubled me. All of these are perfectly wholesome, though, and we omnivores can't be too picky. If it's edible, we eat it.
To continually toast.
What were you doing in Russian?
When I grew up, there's three of us, my brother, my sister, and I. If we had one large fish, you know, there's only two eyes, and there's three of us, and of course my parents would defer to us. But it was always a fight over who would get the eyes.
What did you do with the eyes?
You pull them out and you stick them in your mouth and you suck off everything but the cornea. Look at that. Take the whole head.
Food lovers rejoice. These are remarkable times. For most of history, people were limited to just one cuisine, their own. Today, delicacies from all over the globe appear in even small towns. Now we ask, where in the world should we eat tonight? Well, how about at Maison de Bricourt? The dinner rush is nearing its peak, the real test of Rollinger's skill.
Cooking with the spices that Rollinger has discovered as a result of the tradition of Saint-Malo is very rare. It's unique. It is very easy for any chef to take third-rate produce, a great dollop of heavy, unctuous spice, and turn it into something palatable. What is desperately difficult is what Rollinger tries to do and succeeds in doing every day, which is taking the freshest flavors, the lightest, most flavorful spices, marrying the spices in the right proportion, then combining them with a sauce, and then putting the two things together to make a dish that is utterly memorable.
Rollinger trained as a chemical engineer, and he's always been fascinated by unusual combinations of spices. His sauce for lobster roams across Asia for its flavors. But the cooking technique is Rollinger's own, neither entirely Eastern nor French. Traditionally, French sauces are simmered slowly. But Rollinger does just the reverse. Another secret. All these spices will be cooked quickly at high temperatures to produce the exact flavor that he seeks.
And tamarind is for the acidity, galanga is for the fresh flavor, ginger is for the hot and lemon flavor, and vanilla is for the velvet and very round flavor. It's a fresh bouillon with little red crabs that you find under the stones when you play like a child. We're going to put some drop of Roku oil for the coloration and the sweet flavor too. And all the time you have to taste, and you have a very big progression of this flavor, of all this combination.
Heat alters the flavor of spices incredibly fast. A sauce can go from perfect to inedible in seconds.
And you have to stop when it's good. Okay?
Amelia Cimbron also is cooking a special dish, tamales flavored with sugar instead of chili. The delightful scorch of chili is an adult taste. Children everywhere love sweet. The child she lost loved sweet foods. So each year, on the Day of the Dead, Amelia prepares her daughter's favorites.
My daughter and my father have died. That's why we always prepare food with goodwill. We pay tribute with food, bread, and chocolate. Everything in harmony, everything with love and goodwill. The food must be well prepared for them to be happy, and for us who are still alive to enjoy.
Nourishment is Amelia Cimbron's job. Like most mothers, she cooks to feed her family's hungers, to fill their bellies and their hearts. Tamales are just one delicacy on the Day of the Dead. These sweet ones, filled with corn batter and shrimp in a green pumpkin seed sauce, are prepared especially with children in mind.
Un homard de 600, s'il vous plaît.
At Maison de Bricourt, the next course is almost ready. There was a fine haul of lobsters today, and Rollinger's guests are eager to sample them. Rollinger creates a fresh sauce and personally finishes each order. Every plate is a performance.
In the latest Michelin guide, Rollinger has 2 stars. The top is 3. What difference to him it will make to get that 3rd star is, I think, quite easy to understand. It will be the pinnacle of his profession, and like everybody else, he'll be absolutely thrilled to get it. But the pressure on him once he gets 3 stars will be enormous. People will flock to him, and they will be looking for mistakes.
But they will not find any tonight. His goal is always the same: to create an unforgettable sensation, art good enough to eat. Tonight, he's satisfied.
Very, very fresh and quite nice. Like, for this lobster, I'm quite happy for him.
It is November 1st, the eve of the Day of the Dead. When it comes to food, it's not just the exotic we seek. Sometimes we crave the familiar, the flavors of home. With this feast, the Cimbrons tempt their dead out of heaven to return to the remembered joys of life. The incense is the signal. And the altar says, "Come home, dinner is ready."
There is a group of children here with us, a group of dead children. They listen to the songs, hear everything, conversations, singing, everything.
At nightfall, singers go from house to house, announcing the arrival of the Day of the Dead. They call to the spirits, welcoming them, reminding them that they are cherished and never will be forgotten. The art we make of food, the rich flavors, the heartfelt sharing of a meal, these are the rewards of our senses. Although our senses evolved to guide us through the hazards of nature, we're not simple automatic creatures trapped in the emotional quicksand of our biology. We think, we feel, we dream, we hunger. And among the things we hunger for are good friends and good food. We say the word food as if it were a simple thing, an absolute like rock or rain. But actually, it's a complex realm of pleasure that's both physical and emotional, and often conjures up childhood memories of love and fun. So when we invite someone over for dinner, what we're really saying is, this food will nourish your body as I will nourish your soul. One last ritual remains. In the local graveyard, the Cimbrones leave dinner for Amelia's mother. The dead consume the essence of the food, its flavor, its tradition, its love. Perhaps this is the truest feast, an offering of joy and sorrow presented through the medium of taste. You are in our hearts, this meal says, and you deserve nothing but the best.
Mystery of the Senses was produced by WETA Washington and WGBH Boston, which are solely responsible for its content. A production of WGBH Boston and WETA Washington.
This is PBS.